Hi Stampers, my name is Susan Petty Baylor. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Locust Grove, Virginia, and today is January 1st, 2025. So Happy New Year. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all the things. I guess today is the second to last day of Hanukkah. I hope you've all had a wonderful holiday season with friends and family, and welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you've been to my YouTube channel, welcome. If you're a return viewer, welcome back. We have a couple of, Stampin' Up! Has a couple of catalogs that are coming up. They're going to go live next week. There's the Spring Mini. I can't open it yet because it's not live. That starts January 7th and goes through April 2025. And then we have the Celebration catalog. Now this also goes live on January 7th, but it is only until February 28th. So every year, Stampin' Up! Offers Celebration, and for every $60 that you purchase, you can choose one free item from the Celebration catalog. There's no limit to your order. If you order $120 worth of product before tax and shipping, you can choose two free products. They also have a couple of products that are $120 purchased freebie. So there's a larger stamp set, and there's a stamp set and die bundle that you would need to purchase $120 to be able to get that as your free gift of choice. The other $60 gifts are, there are multiple stamp sets, there's designer series paper packs, there's ribbon, there's an embossing folder, there's sequins, what else? That's all I can think of off the top of my head, but there are lots of choices. And again, that is January 7th through February 28th. For every $60 that you purchase before tax and shipping, you get to choose a free item from the Celebration catalog. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you would like a catalog, just send me a message, and I would be happy to send you one. What else do I want to talk about? Today, we're making this card. This is my customer thank you card. I send a handmade card to any customer who has placed an order with me in a particular month for any amount. It's not always a thank you card, actually. It can be birthday, sympathy, thank you. Could be any number of cards, but it's always a card that you can reuse. I don't write anything in it. You get an envelope and the card to use as you choose. Save it for your stash, send it to somebody, whatever you would like to do. If you place an order of $150 or more, you'll also receive either a package of embellishments or a selection of 6x6 designer series paper. These are all items from my personal stash that are retired. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that YouTube will notify you anytime I post a new video. So just give me a minute to get set up, and I'm going to turn my camera down to my work surface and we'll get started on our project. Before we get started, I wanted to just quickly share a few cards that I got from some customers and some friends. This was a Thanksgiving card from a customer, Peggy, who I did not get a chance to share this in November. And Peggy also sent this lovely Christmas card. I think she used the stitched shapes, the ovals, a couple of the different sizes of ovals from the stitched shapes framelets. This is a card from my sister, who is also a demonstrator. This is from the Light the Year bundle. It's a beautiful card. She's such a great, talented card maker. And let's see, she also sent this one. This is from Sentimental Christmas Suite, the designer series paper, and it's a fun fold. That's kind of fun. And then my friend Nancy sent me this beautiful card. I believe she used the Snowy Wonder bundle for this kind of snow globe effect. And this is an older die set from Stampin' Up, and I don't recall the name of it, but isn't this beautiful? It looks like a snow globe. It's very glittery and sparkly. And this is from another friend, another customer, Barbara, or Barb. This is an older designer series paper and an older snowflake set. I don't recall the name of it, but very pretty. Very pretty cards. Thank you to all of my friends and customers who took the time to make and send a handmade card. I appreciate it. This is the project that we're going to be working on today. Again, it's customer thank you card. And I'm using designer series paper from the Unbounded Beauty. You can see some of the different patterns in here. And I am also using this die set. It's called Thoughtful Wishes. I'm using this die. You can see I still have little pieces of, what is it, Summer Splash cardstock stuck in there. I need to get those out. So I use this die, and I also use this small flower die. And that Thoughtful Wishes die set is part of the Thoughtful Wishes bundle. This is the stamp set that coordinates, that's part of the bundle. I didn't use the stamp set. Instead, I used this stamp set called So Sincere. I liked this happy birthday, this vertical greeting. You can see that's where I used it. I also used the 2024-2026 in color resin dots. The card base is Summer Splash. This particular one I cut 4 1/4 by 11 and scored it at 5 1/2. I used Summer Splash as my card base. This is cut 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. This is my default. I usually go with landscape card. This particular one was portrait. This was cut at 11 1/2 by 4 1/4 and scored at 5 1/2. So it works either way. I just happen to typically default to a landscape. We're also going to need a piece of basic white cardstock. This is cut at 5 by 4. So 5 inches by 4 inches. Typically it would be 5 1/4 by 4, but I wanted a little more of the background showing. And then my designer series paper is cut, this is again from Unbounded Beauty. It's cut at 4 3/4 by 3 3/8. Plus I used a scrap for the inside, as well as that little flower. The other thing that I used for this card were the adhesive sheets. Okay, so I used Summer Splash ink I use the So Sincere stamp. And I'm just going to stamp this on the very outside edge of my 5x4" basic white. And that is all the stamping that I did on that card. And then I'm going to take this piece of designer series paper and glue it on just like that. So any kind of adhesive of your choice works just fine for this. I happen to be a Tombow liquid glue person. That's my favorite adhesive of choice. But snail, any kind of adhesive will work for this. So very simple. Oops, sorry. Any kind of adhesive that you like will work for this. So I've already folded and burnished my card base, and I am just going to glue this on to my card front. So it's equidistant on either side and top and bottom. I just liked having a little bit more of that blue showing. On these more intricate die cuts, liquid glue is definitely the best way to go, unless you're going to use the adhesive sheet. I use this reverse tweezers. This is from EK Tools, not something that Stampin' Up sells. I use my silicone craft mat. You can use a fine tip applicator. I purchased this on Amazon, I think, and you can just, dab little bits of glue onto this. You can use a little of your Tombow and just dot it in a couple of areas. I try to get the leaf tips so they're not catching on anything. And just dot it around. One of the hardest things about using liquid glue is to try not to use too much. I'm not squeezing this bottle at all. It's just coming out on its own. And it's coming out a little more than I would like. I'm just going to dot a few more spots, and then I'm going to set this aside for just a minute. And this Tombow dries tacky. And if you let it dry just a little bit, not completely, you can put it on your project without the glue gushing out the sides. Get a spot there. All right, so I'm gonna just set this aside for a minute. From this one, did through all that. All right, this one's got the sticky sheet on the back, and this one's got our Tombow, and I'm just going to work on my silicone mat. I'm going to lay this down. And press it into place. And the Tombow is still tacky, not dry, so it still gushes out a tiny bit, but it doesn't gush out near as much as it does if you do this before it sits and dries for a minute. You just have to, this is the most tedious part of this card. All right. So I think I've got that all lined up pretty well. And then this is a third die cut. Let me just get some of these little pieces poked out. I'm going to use this on the top. Oh, I see I missed a little piece. See if I can poke this out. Got it. All right, so I'm just going to go through and line all these die cuts out. The sticky sheet is definitely the quickest and least messy method to stack your die cuts. But again, if you don't have sticky sheet or you don't like working with it, it's fine. You can use liquid glue and do the same thing. I would not suggest trying to use tape runner instead of the liquid glue, because the tape runner will show through all the holes. I'm just going to press this down a little bit more. I'll do it some more on the card to get all these layers to stick together. All right, I kind of liked it at an angle, so I think I like it like that. And then I'm just going to press it down. And very carefully, actually it'd be smarter to flip the card and go over the back of it so that I don't catch any of the edges of the die cut. And then that's nice and secure. And then I'm going to use some of these in color resin dots. I'm going to use my take your pick tool. This little putty is not always collaborative for me. Oops. Let's put one down here. I like to do odd numbers. So I'm going to use 3 large and 2 small. Okay. And then we have the piece for the inside. Now I did not stamp on that. You certainly can. I have a favorite stamp that I use. Okay, we have our piece for the inside. This is, let's see, 3 3/4 by 5. And I'm going to use this greeting from Something Fancy. I unfortunately have to use this quite often. It says, "I didn't forget your birthday, I'm just stretching out the celebration." I have several people who I need to send birthday cards to, whose birthdays were in late December, and I have one that's tomorrow, and it won't get to her in time, so I'm going to use this for the inside. I'm also going to use one of these little flower die cuts from the same die set, and I'm just going to put this down here at the very bottom of my card. And then I'm going to put this little scrap of the same designer series paper I have on the front of the card. I'm going to put a strip of that on the inside. I'm guessing this is about 1/4 of an inch. Yep, 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to use Summer Splash. And stamp my greeting on the inside. And then I'm going to trim off the designer paper. And we're going to glue this to the inside. Actually, I need to turn this sideways. It makes it easier for me to see, to line up. Try to get even borders all around. Let me just turn this over. Give it a good press. And we're done. Okay. The last thing I did was on this card, because it's going to be hand delivered, I was able to glue a die cut to the front flap of the envelope. If you want to do this and put it through the mail, you want to make sure that it is glued down very well so that it doesn't catch and tear off. The other thing you could do is, obviously this isn't the right size, but you could use a piece of the same designer series paper and glue it onto the front of the flap and then trim it off. You could use one of these little flowers on the front of the flap, or you could put it on this side of the envelope. Again, just be sure that it's glued down well so that it doesn't catch in the postal machine. Lots of ways to decorate the envelope. You could also use an embossing folder. You could use a piece of Summer Splash cardstock and do the same thing as you would with a piece of designer series paper. Just glue it onto the flap and then trim around it with your scissors. So that's our project for today. Thank you for joining me, and happy stamping.